Supervisor Mathis, I'll call the meeting to order. Would you please stand for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance?
Lord, we are meeting here tonight to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being the source of our guidance tonight. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Let's see. Mathis is absent. Krug is present. Tucker.
Present.
Gopal.
Here.
Kessler is absent. Pardon me. Lorraine is absent. Shoemaker.
Present.
We do, by the skin of our teeth, have a quorum. The first thing we have to do in Supervisor Mathis's absence is to put a vote in for a temporary chair.
Motion for Krug.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you much. Just for the audience, please remember that this meeting will be recorded and shown on channel 191, usually starting Thursday. So if you have insomnia and you want something to put you to sleep, turn on your TV, channel 191. Approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or subtractions or corrections, please? Hearing none, I make a motion is in order to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
All opposed? Messed with you, didn't it? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting minutes, are there any corrections, deletions, or additions to the November 28th or December 3rd and December 10th special meeting?
I have none.
Okay. A motion is in order. The minutes will stand approved as presented. The next is expenditures. A motion is in order to approve the expenditures totaling $507,930.83. Are there any questions on any of the invoices?
Apparently I missed the second round of them. There's another double batch in here again.
There should be three different numbers.
Are the summaries all up front or are they?
Yes, summaries are up front. There's 24,966 is the third one, 253, and 229.
Anything?
I've got 229. I'm trying to, oh, there's 253. Bear with me a moment while I
Yeah.
scan these here. All right, and then the third one is oh, right, little one. All right, I will make that motion.
For support? Roll call, Tom?
Lorraine is absent. Shoemaker.
Yes.
Mathis is absent. Krug.
Yes.
Kessler's absent. Gopal.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
There is no public hearing tonight. Are there any reports from any of the committees? None tonight. The, pardon me, there is a communication. I believe everybody got it in their packet or prior to the meeting. And this is the letter Shop of the Hero program. And I know, Mr. Belzer, you wanted to say something to,
Well, sure, only that township property is not to be used, however good the purpose is. You can't use township property and take a fire truck and use it for whatever. And this firefighter association, whatever it's called, Fenton Township Firefighters Association, it's really not a township entity or a township sanctioned anything. It's a private organization. A bunch of people got together, and to take and use township anything, in this case it's a fire truck, my advice would be that's an improper use of township property, regardless of how good it is, but it's no different than letting some group use the fire hall for meetings or whatever. I mean, it's just, that's not a municipal purpose.
How does this differ from parades?
It doesn't.
So you're saying you wouldn't have us take fire trucks in parades either?
No, and that's a little bit different because, you know, you can draw some distinctions, but really it's the same thing. A fire truck is bought by the township to fight fires. It's not for parties at somebody's houses. I mean, some fire departments, they do that, like graduation parties for firefighters, you know, children, they take fire trucks to the house. I mean, I don't know if that's going on around here anyplace, but these kind of things go on, and that's just not why you buy it. You did not buy a fire truck or a boat or whatever for private use. And there's a distinction between municipal use and community. You know, you have an obligation to use municipal funds for municipal purposes.
Okay.
And that's my 2 cents on
any other,
Personally, I mean, I would probably disagree with you a little bit. I could see how that could be perceived as a benefit to our residents, particularly the children that are involved. I understand that probably the recipients are probably some township kids and some not township kids, but my bottom line with it is this is a chief decision to me. And if the chief wanted to do it, I would support him on that. If the chief didn't want to do it for the reasons Jack just outlined, I'd support him on that. But I get what you're saying. I think we're here to help our folks, and if that helps some folks, albeit not putting out a fire, but in some other fashion, I would think that would be a permissible purpose. But I understand the issue. That's just me. Yeah.
and I think if the board wants to go forward with something like that, based on Mr. Belzer's comments, we gotta make that decision, and then that's our call.
Have to put some, well, I mean, we'd have to talk about it and see where we're at, but assuming you were gonna do it,
Yeah,
you'd have to
if-
put some strings on it, and, because obviously you gotta have coverage, because actual fires are more important than that, but 80% of our runs are medical runs, so the odds that you're gonna get a fire call while you're doing that are minimal, but it could happen. So there'd have to be some things, but to me, that's a chief call. And if he thinks he can do it without negatively affecting safety in the township, I would be with him. If he's concerned about that fact and said, no, I don't want to do it for that reason, I'd back him on that too.
Okay. Any other comments? If not, we'll move right on. The next is adoption of ordinances. There are none. And now we're going to unfinished business. There is none. New business, first one is the proposed solid waste collection agreement with Republic Services. Motion to approve the 2019 through 2022 solid waste collection agreement with Tri-County Refuge Service Incorporated, DBA Republic Services of Flint. Are there any comments, questions, or we have Gary here?
Same form of contract that we've been using, Tom?
Pretty much the same, yes. There is let me back up a little bit. In the memo in your packet, when we solicited proposals, historically, we usually have 3 proposals. This year, we only got 2. If you look at the comparison, there wasn't much of a comparison. It was a pretty
easy
huge,
decision.
huge difference. And so that 176 is the average of the 4 years, but there's some other anticipated fees coming down the pike through the state of Michigan. That's why we put the assessment at 180, so we could handle those fees without coming up short.
How much are we collecting?
180 is what we're collecting. per
That's
year.
the new,
That's the new number, is
number.
180. Yep.
what have we been collecting before?
It was 141 the last 3 years. So the new amount works out to $15 a month, which is still a pretty good deal. So the contract, the one thing that's new in the contract, there is, find it here. The bottom of page 6. This goes to the recycling costs. If the cost of processing recycling goes higher than the current rate, which is $88 per ton, we could see a pass-through cost on that. It would not amount to anything significant, but that is in there. And also, if fuel were to go real high, which right now it's well below, right now the trigger point is $3.25 a gallon. As long as it stays at or below that, we have no surcharge.
I would suggest we add some language to that first provision that gives us the ability to opt out of the recycling if the costs get too high. And I don't want to do that, and I don't expect that to happen, but right now, as this is written, we're stuck with whatever that cost overage would be. And there may be a point in time where I would say, quit doing it.
Plus, we put provision in there, the fact that if recycling drops below a certain point now, because that's a little, I mean, we're paying the increase because recycling's up at an all-time high. If China starts taking all this
That's-
stuff back, then guess what? You know, I'm sorry, 40 bucks basically is what you're increasing. That's a hell, I wish I could make that in a couple of years increase on what I'm
Sure.
charging people. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, you know, that's, what are we talking
Yeah, and
about?
I thought perhaps we had amortized those recycling trucks, because that was built into the last contract, if you recall. I don't remember the term that was amortized over, but, you know, I kind of hoped maybe they'd go down or stay flat at the worst case scenario, and that's a sizable bump. But compared to, I mean, the decision on the RFPs is easy. There isn't really a decision there.
Gary, you want to give us any input on the processing of recyclables?
Thanks, guys. It's good to see you again. It's been a while. Not much movement on the recycling. I think Mr. Shoemaker, said it pretty well. The door is still shut to China. Even if that door does open, we're gonna have to do a whole lot better job of cleaning up the stream if you're ever gonna take it back to China. It's not just simply China saying, hey, come on back in. They're not taking our trash anymore. So until we clean it up and we get down to a 0.05% diversion, we're gonna be dealing with this for quite some time. I don't see the processing costs going much higher. I think Tom mentioned that earlier. I think we're at the highs. I certainly hope that's the case. And you touched on the carts. The carts really didn't factor into this. It's
Not
purely a
carts.
processing.
The trucks, as I thought were included in the old contract, you had to amortize the cost of the new vehicles to do that.
Well, the cost of the new vehicles, that's all built into the everyday price. The carts were the big change, not the cost of the
Remember, John, the
equipment.
carts were the last time why it was more. We were rolling out the new carts.
Well, but we're getting new trucks too. I remember
Yeah,
both of those being
Yeah,
cost
but-
items.
And now we have neither, and we jumped 40 bucks.
And the carts are actually amortized over 10 years, not
See, when you were
the
here before,
3
you told us
years.
it was over that period, because they were only, we went over the price, and you said it was $60-some. I think at the time, I remember it very clearly, it was 60-some bucks. We amortized it over the last contract, it wasn't over that, Gary, that's not what you told me. So I hate to differ with you, but you're wrong.
The carts are always
We pulled
amortized for
back the
10
old- We
years.
pulled back the old meetings, I guarantee you told me it was $60 over that term, and that's why it went up from what we had originally bid. Because that, we went from every week to 2 weeks, and you raised the price for less service. And that was what it was because of the carts. So, I'm just having trouble swallowing $40, and I know there's not any other bids out there, so guess what, we might have to take it on the chin, but I think we're getting fleeced because there's not enough options, that's my opinion. Because I just don't, like.
What was the nearest bid to us?
Huh?
How much was the nearest bid to us?
I don't even know.
Mr. Broker?
It was, I think average over the 4 years was 232,
And we're currently at what?
177.
And Waste Management chose not to bid, I believe.
That's correct.
So did I misunderstand you? The cost of the automated armed trucks were not included in the last contract?
Trucks are always a factor in every proposal, whether it's new equipment or not.
Well, yeah, you're gonna have equipment costs, I understand that.
Sure.
But I have a pretty clear memory, as Sean does, of you saying that part of the, and I don't remember what the term was for the new trucks, but you had to acquire the new trucks to do it, and there was a number associated with that.
Everything is over 10 years.
Okay.
But hold on, if we didn't give you the contract the next time, how would you have done that then?
We basically pick our carts up and hope I can use them somewhere else.
Wait,
Trucks are
see,
reallocated to
I
another
got a horrible
contract.
business plan to tell the stockholder, but guess what, I gotta park all these trucks out back, because guess what, I have another place to take them, so Gary, I just don't, from our last conversation, I know I'm being a pain in the neck, but man, I just really don't buy it. As a business person, I think that's a horrible business plan then, because I solidly remember you telling me, that's why it increased, that's why we're going every 2 weeks, and it kept the cost there, because our residents used to get recycling every week before that. It was every week. There wasn't that I roll it out the wrong week because I forget or whatever. They had it every week, and the cost went up. And if you remember, I was a no vote because guess what? I thought people deserved it every week. We didn't deserve an increase. And you came and told the entire board the reason that was is we were paying for the carts. And so I guess you know, you guys, what do? Pick up all the carts and hand them someplace else, beaten and broken and all this stuff? Most times when you guys roll out carts, they're new.
Well, just to clarify, when we did this 4 years ago, the last year of the previous contract, it was $11.08 per month. The first year of the current contract, which is expiring, was $11.19 a month. It went up 11 cents. So we did not incur a large increase when we went to the contract 4 years ago.
But we also lost service every other week.
It was every other week on the recycling, that's correct.
So technically, you did have an increase and you lost it. If they take away half my service, if I said, hey, guess what, I'm willing to feed you half the time, you're gonna say that's a big reduction. So, I'm sorry, I just don't, I don't go with it, and I don't, you know, the board here has a choice to make. My opinion is, I just think you guys are very blessed, there's no one out there competing with you, and guess what, you can, you know, it's what it is. I just want the residents to know, guess what, I don't think it's fair, and I think a lot of seniors that I've spoke with don't think it's very fair either. They're on fixed incomes, you can't a jump that high. Their social security definitely isn't jumping at that percentage. You know, nobody's wage is jumping at, your employee's wage is jumping at friggin' 25%? Nope. You know,
Actually, this year wages did go up dramatically
How
with I'm not gonna go into that, but I can tell you that wages,
It can't be 25%.
wages have gone up based on the labor shortage in the trucking industry. The state of Michigan's 6,000 drivers short today. We're doing everything we can to retain and bring new people in. Wages have gone up, yes.
But at that rate.
Not quite at that rate now.
Let me switch gears in the other direction. Gary, do you have an idea of what the incremental cost would be to reinstate weekly recycling?
To go back to the bins,
No.
what the added cost would be, I don't know. I did not look at that.
And no idea of the scale. I mean, I'm not trying to pin you with the number.
I do
I'll
not.
do that 4 years from now. But,
Right on.
okay, well, I would be interested in knowing that.
I'd be happy to share that.
Okay,
That's simply throwing some numbers together.
okay.
Any other questions or comments? Any comments or questions for anyone in the audience?
It's just one trip.
Ma'am?
I don't think we need recycling every week. I mean, every other week seems, I don't know, for me, it works. I mean, maybe even, I don't know.
So I'm full every week. In fact, this
Are-
week,
well,
they're gonna
sometimes
hate me this week.
I am
They're gonna hate
more,
me.
but I
Let 'em
mean,
know.
I guess I'm used to it every other week and
Yeah.
it works. You know, if you got extra, you just put the
Yeah,
stuff
I'm-
in bins right
I'm
next.
figuring out, and I even I've got a big and a small for recycling, you know, because I was running into the problem every single time, but even now, that second week, I'm finding places to stash it till I can get it out to the curb.
I'm just one person, so.
Yeah, well, bring me your cart. I'm just one too. You're not using it.
Can
I'll
we
let him
get
run
your,
it. I'm gonna let him run it.
can we get your name for the record?
My name is Kelly Phillips.
Thank you.
You should remember me, I worked on the election.
But I gotta record.
Okay, that's fine.
You know, I would like to see it every week, cause like you, John, I have 5 people in a household, I'm filling 2 of them up
Right.
and then trying to shove it out there. And that was my frustration before with
Right.
the every other week, and then the cost
Right.
didn't change. So,
And it's a function of the cost. I mean, I just wanna know what the number is. You make a decision. If it's doubling the rate, then, you know, there isn't anything to talk about. If it's a 10% incremental, I'd think about that, but, that's what our man Gary's gonna tell us, and then we're gonna beat him over the head with it in a few years.
I'll be here.
That's why he's bald, in case you were wondering.
That is
Everywhere
why.
he goes. I don't know what your excuse is.
Jeans.
Jeans?
You are blessed.
So, hearing no other questions, is there anyone who wants to move the motion?
I'll move the motion. We don't have an option here. I assume if we
Support?
do something else, we'd be, further discussion, we'd be able to come back and modify this.
Roll call, Tom?
Krug,
Yes?
Mathis is absent, Kessler is absent, Shoemaker,
no,
Gopel,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Lorraine is absent. Majority of those present and voting is still sufficient.
To pass it. Thank you. The next one is proposed local road projects and motion to approve the following 2019 local road projects. Limestone resurfacing Sharp Road from Laring to Ray. Limestone resurfacing Smith Road from Hogan to the westerly Fenton Township boundaries. Need a motion, please? Or are there any questions?
So moved.
Support?
Roll call, Tom?
Shoemaker,
yes.
Gopel,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Kessler is absent, Lorraine is absent, Krug.
Yes,
Mathis is absent, motion carries.
thank you. The next, with the board of review coming up soon, I need a motion to reappoint the board members. First one would be motion to reappoint Beverly J. McKenna to the Fenton Township Board of Review for the term ending December 31st, 2020.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, Tom?
Mathis, Kessler absent, Krug,
Yes?
Gopel,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Lorraine is absent, Shoemaker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Before we move on, why do I have a memory of her asking to be off of this? Have I just got a bad memory, or was there
She
some-
did leave for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
And then came back, yeah. She's been back on for a few
Because this
years.
is the most thankless job that I'm aware of in the entire world. They should be paid combat pay for doing
And
it.
all these renewals are people, they expressed interest in wanting to be back.
Yes, they had their December meeting last week, and Bonnie and Julia talked to all of them, and they were all up for
Yeah,
reappointment.
that's why I was a little confused by it. I had memory of it from, I didn't realize it was 2 years ago, but, or for 2 years, but wow.
Motion to reappoint John A. Brancho to the Fenton Township Board of Review for the term ending December 31st, 2020.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call?
Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine is absent, Mathis is absent, Krug.
Yes.
Shoemaker.
Yes.
Kessler's absent, motion carries.
Need a motion to reappoint Scott Lau to the Fenton Township Board of Review for the term ending December 31st, 2020.
I mean, Randy,
Randy.
Scott's brother.
Okay.
His real name is Scott, he goes by Randy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Scott Randall.
I thought Crew was just confused.
Well, it says on here.
Well, I am, but I was reading. Roll call, please.
I didn't get a motion for a second.
Second.
Kessler's absent, Krug.
Yes.
Shoemaker.
Yes.
Lorraine is absent, Mathis is absent, Tucker.
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next is appointment of Fenton Township Representative, Genesee County Metro Alliance. Each year, we need to appoint someone for the 2018. Our elected has been Mr. Gopel. Our citizen has been Andy Marco. And our alternate has been Trustee Kessler. The board now needs to appoint representatives for 2019.
Yeah, usually
They're missing, he's missing.
that honor falls to people that aren't here.
I was
So,
So I'm going, I nominate Vince Lorraine.
well, I'll give Mr. Gopel the right of first refusal.
Or no, he
I'll refuse.
You'll refuse?
Yeah, there you go.
So who'd you nominate?
Vince.
I'll second that. Merry Christmas, Vince.
Do you know if Bonnie has talked to Mr. Marco?
I do not know. He
Actually, Vince is sick.
attends every
That's pretty good
month,
reason.
So we should
Okay.
give it
But
to
he-
Rob.
So we give it to Rob and make
Rob still
Vince
plays
the
1
alternate?
golf, so I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And we'll make Kessler the alternate, like, no,
Motion.
I mean Vince the alternate.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion
Are we doing one at a time, or are we doing both?
Yeah, we've got one motion appointing all
for
three.
both of them?
For all, for,
The government, the citizen,
Yeah.
and
so the motion is Rob for the primary,
Mm-hmm.
Vince for the secondary, and Andy for the citizen.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a good choice.
I'll second that if it already hasn't been done.
Okay, roll call, please.
Who made the motion?
Sean did.
Sean did.
Okay.
So they remember me.
All right, Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine is absent, Gopel.
Yes.
Kessler's absent, Shoemaker.
Yes.
Mathis is absent, Krug.
God, I
Merry
should've
Christmas,
known
Mark.
that Marco's supposed to take us out to dinner. I'll vote yes.
Motion carries.
Merry Christmas, Mark.
Take it.
You dodged that one, buddy.
I haven't been one yet, but.
Resolution number 2018-45. It's to schedule a public hearing for Dartmouth Drive Special Improvement Special Assessment District. Mr. Broker, please.
Yeah, there's a memo explaining the situation. If you recall, with the input from the property owners, the board rejected all bids a few months back, asked the road commission to rebid the project for 2019 construction. They have done so. The low bid was still almost 40% over their pre-bid estimate at $141,689, but still below the low bid last time, which is over almost $166,000. The road commission has recommended we do move, if we're going to do it, not to rebid again. They don't think they're gonna get a better bid. I think the location, the very tight street, there's just some issues with doing this project that have driven the costs up, and they don't believe they can do much better than what they've got. So what we have is a resolution that will schedule a public hearing because the new cost is still more than 10% above the original estimate. The property owners need to be afforded the opportunity to give input on whether or not they want to continue the project, and if they do, then the hearing can proceed on the proposed roll. The roll has been created, certified by the supervisor, and filed with the clerk. The resolution acknowledges the filing of the special assessment roll to the clerk and its availability for review until the hearing. Acknowledges that the revised costs exceed the previous estimated cost by 10% or more. schedules a public hearing on the increased cost and the special assessment roll at the January 7th board meeting, directs the clerk to publish and mail the notice of hearing according to statute, and repeals any conflicting resolutions.
I'll move the motion. Or resolution, what is it?
I'll support. Roll call, Tom?
Lorraine and Mathis and Kessler are absent. Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Krug.
Yes,
Shoemaker.
Yes.
Motion carries, resolution's adopted.
thank you. The next action item is the proposed amendments to the 2018 Fenton Township budget. Tom?
Okay, actually not a lot of huge changes to the budget. I'll try to highlight some of the significant increases or changes, not all increases. On the general fund, our permit fees are exceeding our original budget, so we're upping that by about 20,000. The community development project is, what we had in the budget was what we had available in funds. The one project we got done this year ended up being quite a bit less than that, so that's being reduced.
Tom, before you go on, when you say our permit fees increased, you're talking about building permits?
Building
there?
permits, yes.
Building permits, okay.
Yes, sorry. In property held for resale, we had anticipated selling more properties. We have some kind of in the hopper now, but it looks like they're not going to close this year, so we reduced that. Legal fees are up about 40,000. The only other, okay, and our contracted services and building inspection went up as well, again, because of the increased building activity. Road projects, the projects we approved ended up coming in less than we expected, so we're reducing some budget there. And last big item is we are not doing an operating transfer to the sewer fund for the first time in about 6 years, so.
Hold it, let's say that again.
Out loud.
We are not doing an operating transfer to the sewer fund. So, we're projecting a surplus of around 170,000. 50 of that we're setting aside, as you recall, for the Hogan Road Bridge project. So, we're projecting a pretty decent surplus this year. In the fire fund, on the budget side, we're showing a $207,000 deficit. That's primarily due to using fund balance to purchase the new vehicles this year. The actual numbers are actually projecting out to be maybe even a small surplus for the year, which will probably leave them with in the neighborhood of 500,000 still in the bank at the end of the year. So, dog park, no significant changes, just kind of shifting some money between line items. No change to the net. Solid waste, we're actually going to do a little better than we expected. Still a deficit because the way we set up the assessment, we straight lined the assessment, whereas the contract went up each year. So we surplus the first 2 years and a deficit of the last 2 years to even it out. So still showing a fund balance at the end of the year. Mosquito control, only increasing revenues just a little bit, but we already know the expenses are about 24,000 under budget. So we're going to be able to continue the reduced assessment amount for at least a couple more years, it looks like. And on the sewer fund, our connection fees are up about 150,000, which allowed us to eliminate the operating transfer from the general fund. Our debt service is down as we're paying those. We've done some refunding to save on interest, and we're paying off some debt as we go. The contracted services are increased from what we had proposed in the original budget, some special projects and some costs related to some power outages and some heavy rain events that kind of bumped up some costs. But overall, we're showing a positive projected cash flow in the neighborhood of 400,000 in the sewer fund this year.
Big change.
Trying to get there, what's that gonna leave our balance, or what's our balance gonna be here?
In the sewer fund,
Yeah,
we should be around 2 million.
okay.
Now, what percent of a, I guess, rainy day fund is that 400,000? Is that where we want to be, or is that more?
For which one though?
I mean, is there any money we could put towards the principal on our loans out of that
The
400,000?
bonds? Well, as the bonds have come due, we've refunded some of them.
Mhm.
There may be an opportunity once they reach call date to pay them off early. We'd have to check with the advisors to see. We do have, I think there's one that's being paid off this next year. So that'll drop off, that'll drop our debt down a little bit more. Then it's another 5 years after that, and then we have two large ones fall off. And then,
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, get with the advisor and see, but, you know, anytime we can throw any extra on principal, it's always best in not all that great at the time, you hate seeing it go, but towards the end, obviously.
Well, if we're ever gonna do anything with our dreaded 255, we've gotta get rid of debt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? If not, I need a motion to adopt the amendments to the 2018 Fenton Township budget as presented.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Kessler's absent, Gopel.
Yes.
Krug,
Yes.
Shoemaker.
Yes.
Lorraine and Mathis are absent, Tucker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next is Resolution 2018-46 honoring firefighter Scott Cole. Mr. Broker, would you read the resolution?
Sure, I'll read off.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Resolution 2018-46, whereas Scott C. Cole recently retired from the Fenton Township Fire Department, and whereas Mr. Cole has been a resident of Fenton Township for many years, during which time he's contributed greatly to the overall public safety of the community as a firefighter and officer in the Fenton Township Fire Department. And whereas Mr. Cole served loyally and faithfully as a member of the Fenton Township Fire Department from 1998 to 2018, rising to the rank of lieutenant during his 20-year tenure and demonstrating excellent leadership throughout his years of service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Township Board of the Charter Township of Fenton hereby recognizes Scott C. Cole for his valuable contributions to the Fenton Township Fire Department and our community in general, expresses sincere appreciation and gratitude for 20 years of dedicated service to the government and citizens of Fenton Township, and wishes him well in all future endeavors. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting and a copy be provided to Mr. Cole.
So,
Roll call, please.
Lorraine is absent, Shoemaker.
Yes.
Mathis is absent, Krug.
Yes.
Kessler's absent, Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is township resignation. If we accept his resignation, then he can't vote on the next two items.
We said we were gonna accept his resignation.
And Kate,
Just
okay.
hypothetically speaking.
It's not effective till,
Doesn't say that in the letter here.
Yeah.
no, I was ready to go.
Motion to accept the resignation of trustee Sean Shoemaker, effective December 31st, 2018. We'll have to call him New Year's Eve.
I guess.
Need a motion, please?
I'm making that motion.
Okay, Mr. Shoemaker moved it. Okay, moving along with lack of support.
or,
You want us to,
Oh, you'll get somebody so nice that it'll be fantastic. People think it's a day breeze in here, so
okay.
maybe.
Roll call, Tom?
Krug,
I guess.
Mathis and Kessler absent. Shoemaker,
Yep.
Gopel,
yes.
Tucker.
No.
Sorry,
Lorraine
still
is absent.
carrying.
Come on, you guys. He left me last. He left me hanging.
Really?
Yeah.
You notice
He,
I didn't call
knew,
the
he knew what I was up to. He's seen that dog in the pony show
I
before.
just want whoever takes the spot to know this is the seat where everybody leaves. All right?
That's where your dad's coming.
The Tony Brown Memorial seat.
Tony Brown, no. I like Scott over Tony.
The next
I like
is,
Tony, I like Sean too. So,
I like Scott too.
yeah.
the next is resolution 2018-47. Mr. Broker, would you read it, please?
Yes. Whereas Sean P. Shoemaker is stepping down from his position as Fenton Township trustee to assume the office of Genesee County Commissioner as of January 1st, 2019. Whereas Mr. Shoemaker has been a resident of Fenton Township for many years, during which time he's contributed greatly to the progress and welfare of the community, most notably as a member of the Fenton Township Board and the Southern Lakes Parks and Recreation Board of Directors. Whereas Mr. Shoemaker served loyally and faithfully as Township trustee from 2012 to 2018, and as Fenton Township representative on the Southern Lakes Parks and Recreation Board of Directors from 2013 to 2018, demonstrating the qualities of vision and leadership throughout his tenure as an elected official. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Board of the Charter Township of Fenton hereby recognizes Sean P. Shoemaker for his valuable contributions to our community, expresses sincere appreciation and gratitude for his dedicated service to the government and citizens of Fenton Township, and wishes him well in his new position as Commissioner for Genesee County's 6th District. Be it further resolved, a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and a copy provided to Mr. Shoemaker.
I will move the resolution.
Support.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Here, bud.
Congratulations, Sean.
Anything you want to say, Mr. Shoemaker?
We'll do roll call first.
Yeah.
I'm just happy you left out stubborn out of there, so that's really good.
It's on the back.
It was in the first edit.
It's on the back.
I'd just like to say that I really count myself blessed, I don't say that lightly, that I was able to serve such a wonderful township. You know, I know the board members realize what they have, and I hope the residents realize what a dedicated board they have also. And it was my pleasure and my honor to serve with all of you the last 6 years, and I've learned so much, and I thank you for everything. So,
Can't believe it was 6 years.
yep.
I mean,
Goes
this
by
flew,
fast,
but
doesn't it?
you're gonna be hard to replace, dude. We're gonna try.
Give me some of the names, I'll pick the most difficult one, it'll be totally good for you.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna have your hands full too, so
Oh,
when you need something cold after one of the meetings, just give me a call. I'll be there for you.
I'll be stopping by.
Okay.
I will not be an absentee.
Come see us, please.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor of the resolution 2018-47, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I should have went nay.
It were Chevy.
Had the last chance.
Yep, and you blew it. The last is sale of tax reverted property, purchase agreement amendment. Mr. Tucker, please.
Were you in on this, John?
Well, I wasn't in on this part of it, but I understand what's going on. As you recall, we've had some issues. This is tax reverted property and condominium association. The association is giving us some difficulty. I have, since we last talked, conveyed the suggested plan of action to Ed Constable, who understood it, thought it was a good idea, and was contacting the potential purchaser to implement that. This, I presume, is just a mechanism to continue the due diligence for a period of time. I think we're talking to the end of the month, so we're talking about a few weeks. So it's relatively insignificant from the real estate standpoint.
Yeah, it goes to December 31st.
But I think that dog might hunt that we were, our plan to deal with the situation without elaborating any further.
I agree.
Okay, need a motion to approve the purchase agreement amendment for the sale of Fenton Orchard condominium units as presented.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Shoemaker.
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Kessler and Lorraine are absent. Krug.
Yes,
This is absent. Motion carries.
thank you. Any board comment tonight?
Just want Mr. Belzer to look at the clock and then correlate time with who's running the meeting. I'm not saying there's a pattern, but there's a pattern.
But speaking of me, I mean, the board at some point here, you have to move forward with how you're gonna replace Mr. Shoemaker, whether you're gonna take applications or what you're
We,
gonna do.
we have, I think 12 applications.
And we've got till Valentine's Day to do it.
It's about
Make
right.
the-
How appropriate.
Yeah,
Make the appointment. So,
Yeah.
45 days, yeah.
yeah.
Tom, do the math for us, so.
So we'll hold a meeting on Valentine's Day that
At Jackson.
Tucker likes.
Okay.
well,
That's not
does,
gonna
I
affect.
mean, does
No,
it-
what is,
I'll be there.
what is
I'm not gonna be
the,
anyplace else.
could you explain the process?
Well, the board just appoints somebody. I mean, however, and I gave Tom a little thing from MTA tonight, but you've got the notice now that Sean's going to be leaving. So technically, 30 days before he's gonna leave, you can appoint somebody, but you have to do it by the end of the 45 days. If you don't, then it has to be done by an election, which will be in May. It's gonna cost you, like whatever, 5-6 grand or something to have some elections, so whoever you appoint serves out the rest of the term.
Okay.
So I don't know if the board wants to work on, maybe hard to schedule anything tonight with,
But have the board gone, you think that's the problem?
but, I mean, a work session to at least discuss candidates. I don't know what the board
You
We
wants.
guys
could
do
have
it.
a work
What the board
session,
wants
or
to do.
special meeting.
No,
It'd be a special meeting.
special meeting, yeah, right, exactly. But it'll have to be in January, I think everybody understands that, right?
Yeah.
Or the personnel committee can bring back recommendations.
Doesn't matter. I mean, I would think
No, I'm
we
good, I like that, I really
thin
do.
her down to 3 or 5, and,
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, 12 could take a while, but
right,
if the top
3 or 5.
5 or 3, what's the number, Mr. Gopel? What would
What do you want to look
you
at?
feel comfortable
35?
with?
I would prefer that you do it in an open meeting.
It will be.
Okay.
All of them? Or,
Well,
no, I'm just
The personnel
asking.
committee meeting could be posted as an open meeting. That
Yeah,
won't
but
be an issue.
if you're going to narrow down from these 12 people to whatever number, be it,
Yep.
5 or something.
so can the personnel committee, or do you need, are you suggesting the whole board of trustees?
I would suggest, I guess you can do that and come back, but understand that the board can decide, even though you
Right.
delete a person X, they
Yeah.
want person X.
Yep.
Yep.
And they've already got all the resumes, everybody's got all the
Yep.
resumes, so. If somebody's left off the 3 or 5 that we picked, and somebody doesn't like that, we understand that.
Are we done? I mean, is that the only 12 we're taking?
Yeah,
Have
it's
you
closed.
published or made
Yes.
known that
Yes.
you're taking?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It was in the newspaper.
Okay.
That's why we got 12.
In the
12
website.
replied to.
Yeah,
It's
that's
all
good.
been published.
Yeah, that's good.
I got more than half of them
Yeah.
in the last 3 hours of the.
Really?
headline. We're
It's
sitting there-
really good considering we didn't have anybody run 2 years ago.
We were afraid.
Very
They
good.
get-
Just
they
sit
get
next to
lost,
you.
I'm just saying, I like the community involvement, I really do. I mean, literally, there's nobody else that ran 2 years ago.
So we'll figure it out and do something for,
January,
We can
3 of us
okay.
get together, we'll throw the royal coin in the air and see what happens.
okay, thank you. Is there any comments or from the audience tonight, please? Yes. Could you please come up to the,
Yeah, my name is Elaine Kinsman. I live in the township on Golden Circle. And I was here at the November 19th meeting and raised the issue of RV parking in the residential neighborhood. And I just wondered, have there been any movement on that or any decision on what we can do about?
I'm working on a proposed ordinance to bring to the board relative to parking. Where you can't, an ordinance that would prohibit, I don't know what the board's thoughts are, but because it did come up, I'm working on a draft of an ordinance that would prohibit parking of vehicles on lawn areas. And it has to do, it has to be narrowed down to setback areas and whatnot. But I'm working on a draft of it, and it turned out to be a little more complicated than what I thought when I looked at some other draft ordinances of other places. But I'm trying to put together something in that regard to bring to the board, and they can do whatever.
Okay.
I live
So-
over there in that area. I've driven by 3 times. The one that really bothers me is the one that I believe he uses for a lawn service that is parked in the road and it has no reflectors.
No
on it at
reflectors
all.
on the back of that trailer, yes.
Or the sides, so,
Well, that's illegal, that's a.
That, I thought something had been
that's
done
police
about that,
enforcement issue.
Well-
because it doesn't seem to be there
It's sheriff
as much
enforcement,
lately.
right?
But all these things,
well, I
all those,
mentioned it to our ordinance enforcement officer. I have not talked to him since, so.
okay, but you don't think it looks like a problem having
Oh,
the RVs parked
It does,
there?
and that's why we're having an ordinance written for the ones that are parked in the right of way
Okay.
and or front yards. But
Right.
the one that really bothered me because it's right there
Well, it
on
was right in the
curve.
road, yeah, you had, when you come around that corner, you had to be,
You could wind up wearing a trailer in the front of your car.
yep. Yep.
Is that there all the time, or is that just sporadic?
There are several vehicles from what is a business, obviously,
believe
some
it's a
some sort of a landscape business, I suppose. They have a dump truck there now. I mean, it's bigger than a regular truck. It does, the bed raises up and it dumps. And it has a big snow shovel blade on the front of it too. There's a boat parked there. There's 3 vehicles from this, with a logo from this business on it. And several of them are right on the lawn, parked, you know.
The one that Bob's talking about, though, that doesn't have reflectors or anything on the rear, is that
It's a
there?
tr- It's a trailer.
Is it continuously there, or is it a hit and miss thing?
It had been continuously there until the last couple of weeks.
All right, do this.
So I didn't know if someone had approached them on it, because I had called the number at the township and spoken to, I don't remember who it was, I spoke to a woman who said she was gonna turn that over to someone who handles
She did.
that.
She turned it over to Mr. Shaw, our ordinance
Code
enforcer.
enforcer, yeah.
Code
Okay, so I was assuming that someone had addressed that with them, because it has not been in the street lately. It's just right up there on the lawn, lined up with all the other stuff.
Do me a favor, if you see it in the street, will you call the township and let us know that it's in the street?
Okay,
Because then we can send a deputy out and put a little laundry on the windshield.
okay. Sometimes well, at first that trailer was disconnected from any vehicle, and it was just sitting out there at the curb by itself. Then it was connected to a truck, oftentimes sitting out there, but still, like, as you said, no reflectors at night. So, okay, well, I was just wondering how, I'm new to this whole process and bringing anything up, and I was just curious.
It moves slower than you want, unfortunately. But it's moving, that's the good news.
Okay, all right, you haven't forgotten about us,
No, no.
because it looks like we live in a,
Junkyard.
you know, a parking area. That's what the front part of the street. And by the way, our roads are really bad. I know we're not the only ones,
You want
but
the direct down number for Gretchen Whitmer? I understand
That's what I was gonna say, isn't she supposed to?
she's gonna
these
fix the
roads?
roads.
well,
There's an adjective in there that I'm omitting, but,
well, I don't know if she's gonna fix the
Damn.
township roads for us, but
Damn.
is that what it is? It's got a ring to it, doesn't it? How about you could get elected on that?
Yeah, I bet you could. You have to work,
Am I
though.
next?
Yes, please.
My name is Kelly Phillips, and I live on 1528 Eden Gardens Drive, which is not too far from here. And I wanted to ask, I hear there's new ordinance about the limitation of what are so-called pets in the community. Now, I want to know, because I've done trap, neuter, and return on community cats or feral cats or neighborhood cats, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call them. And now I'm going to get a ticket. The code enforcement officer called me and said that because I don't house these cats inside.
If
So-
the feral cats are not your cats, so they can't cite you for it.
Well, we're called caregivers, right? We're not owners, but who decides who's an owner and who's a caregiver? I'm certified as a caregiver, but the state of Michigan doesn't have any laws regarding feral cats per se, but you know, I mean,
They're not
I
in
see
your
it-
house,
they're not in my house, but
so there's, I mean,
Oh, that's,
I'll,
Yeah.
I'll
that makes
talk, this
perfect
is my
sense, yeah.
entire contention on this thing, things, people. No, I understand that, and as far as I'm concerned, if they're not in your house, they're free to go, they're not technically your animals.
right, see, adopt a pet states in their online that caregivers, once you commit to trapping them and having, they're all trapped, neutered, and
My sister
returned.
does that. You trap them to take them to get neutered, and then you release them.
Right, but you're supposed to be their caregiver, meaning food and shelter
For how long?
till they
Feel free to
die.
go whenever, I mean, if you both.
Till they die.
So we're gonna cite her for putting food out now?
They're not gonna go if there's food there.
Well, they're not gonna go anyway. They're not gonna go anyway, Sean. See, we humans look at areas as property lines, and cats look at it as a territory. And if the cats are removed, you're just gonna get another colony to move in. It's gonna take over that spot. So I just wanna know who, if I get ticketed for this, what.
You said our ordinance enforcement called you and
He
said
did.
you're gonna get cited?
He did. See, I live, my house is like, when you drive up my street, you may see them for about 5 minutes or so when I pull in, because I'm kind of the caretaker, but then they disperse. But, some people don't like it.
How many cats are there?
There's about 8.
Okay, so what are we at now? Are we at, trapping the cats and then sending them back?
We,
No,
See,
I'm
this-
kind of talking to the
okay,
board here.
I'm just gonna tell you that's why these programs are brought, that's why there's a House bill by the state of Michigan. It's the only thing I could find that gives these places like Adopt a Pet and all these places that they can enact this trap, neuter, and return program because of how many, it's the only thing that's really reducing the number.
I understand that, and you're kind of, no good deed goes unpunished. is the way I'm
Thank
kinda
you.
looking at it.
I say that all the time, thank you.
No, I
Because I'm
understand.
trying to make a difference, the only way I know how. People think that when a feral or a stray shows up, of course, the first thing you're gonna do is gonna go to a shelter and say, I've got this stray or feral cat. They don't take it.
Yeah.
They just don't take
And if you
it.
don't trap them and get them neutered, now instead of 4 or 5 cats running around the neighborhood, you got
It's
8
just,
to 12.
it's a mess.
I
It's,
understand that. Is there something we can do that kind of protects, almost an addendum to well, I'm telling you, she's doing a good thing.
I'm not saying she's not, but you gotta also look at the property owner and the property values around them, that if you're gonna go sell your house and there's 75 cats running around outside, or 4 or 8.
Which there would
or
be
4
75
or 4
cats if
or
she
4
didn't
or
have
8.
them fixed.
Listen, you're talking to somebody whose stepmother has probably 20 behind her damn house that she's captured and kept. I mean, trust me, my stepmother is just nuts with these, got houses built and all the other stuff. I'm there. I got it. I understand what she's trying to do. I'm not saying she's wrong. But what I'm saying is this: we are here to protect all the residents and their property values. If property values go to crap, guess what? You're gonna have a lot of trouble, guess what, paying bills. We gotta protect those values. That's what we're
I
here to do.
understand.
Sean,
So there's
can-
a fine line. If somebody called it a complaint, we have to honor it. If they didn't, I'd have left her alone and
We
said,
have to
"Have at it."
honor, we're gonna cite her, or we have to honor it that.
I don't, the issue is whether those animals are her property. It's a
They're free to
legal,
go, but
it's
not
it's a legal question.
it's
I
a
don't know
real,
the answer.
it's a real fine line.
I don't know the
I
answer
understand
to
they're
it.
loyal to
And
her.
you know,
I mean,
you know
but-
what I want to ask too? I want to ask, how can somebody be cited if there's no damage and there's no loss? Okay, on my street, I cannot even put a fence up. Okay, I just want to give you, I can't keep anything out of my property. My dog was brutally attacked by other dogs on that back street behind me to the tune of $2,500. Okay, I called the township, I called animal control, and I called the police. I think the township came out where the dogs were located and talked to them, but nothing was done. The police went out and talked to them, and nothing was done. And animal control told me to round them up and get them in my garage, and then they would come out and get them. So
Do you know whose dog it was?
we found out it not only got my dog, but it got some others on the street too. This was a while ago. I'm just saying that, you know, I'm gonna get ticketed, but where's the damage and where's the, you know?
Unfortunately, you don't need damage to if you break a rule or a law, okay? You're looking at somebody who got a letter before I was on this township board, because I had bricks sitting out beside my house, okay? A couple bundles that I plan to use in a fire pit, okay? And I get the same letter and the same thing, that I can be contempt, and I can be taken to court, and I can even go to jail. But these ordinances are here, and we do the best we can to approve them to try to protect everyone.
And
Unfortunately, there's some where you're trying to do
And
the right thing, and you're just falling right through the cracks of it. And I think this board, after I'm gone, I can tell you, I guarantee they'll do everything they can to try to resolve this for you. And
Well,
from there.
and what I'm gonna say, Sean, I see both sides of the story. I do. I see where there's people that may not like cats or animals in general, but what's the answer here? You know, like you said, no good deed goes unpunished. People like me and other hundreds of people in the community do this. I mean, that's why they offer it. It's the only process they found that is making a difference. Trap and kill doesn't work because more just move in.
Just,
So-
you know, as an armchair attorney, yeah, I knew those two would look. I think worst case, I don't see you getting cited. I think if you do, and I think if you went in front of a judge and still, I cannot see a judge. I mean, they're not your cats.
They're not, no.
And if you're not claiming ownership, it's gonna be hard. And I'm not saying, judges can do what they want, obviously, but I don't see a judge that will say, well, we're gonna honor this misdemeanor, I'm assuming?
Right.
Okay, I mean, that's a criminal, that's on your record. And I just don't see a judge with the story you're telling us siding with the township, and I'm just giving
Well,
my
yeah, and I'm just saying because
because I'm on both sides here.
the reason I'm here is because I was talking to Patrick, which I know he's only doing his job. He sounds, I don't know him, but he sounds like a very nice gentleman, but he couldn't answer my questions. When I asked him about how can they run these programs and then, you know, how can they do the trap, neuter, and return?
Don't feel bad for him, because I'm a lawyer and I can't answer your question.
Okay.
I mean, it's a,
Such a
I don't know
fine,
what-
it's such a fine
I
line
just
of,
don't see how they're yours. I mean,
well, if she wasn't feeding them, I think then she's home free. But what is it that makes you an owner of a cat other than feeding it and taking care of it?
Well, according to our order, if it's inside cat,
Well,
it
but
has
it's
to
not,
stay
these are not.
inside.
Yeah. But
Well, that's what the ordinance says.
But
If
what-
it's
you know
not
what,
an
you
inside
know-
cat, I don't see where, you know, I mean,
no,
our ordinance says,
that's the safe harbor, is taking them inside. She's not doing that.
okay, then
She
then
was
how is
taking
she
them
claiming
inside. She was taking
ownership?
inside, she'd be
Well, that's,
set.
But-
she's feeding them, she's watching out for
Anybody
them.
can, I can feed it, I can put.
I can
water-
feed a squirrel and a raccoon and a possum
animal
too.
that comes
I'm not arguing the point. I'll tell you what the legal issue is. And
Okay.
I sitting here don't know the answer. I doubt Jack knows the answer.
I mean,
And I certainly don't blame code enforcement for not knowing the answer.
so I can put apples out and a deer comes out, and because I feed it, now it's my deer and I'm cited for it.
Thank
I'm
you.
cited for it
Thank you,
because
that's what I
it's
say.
not a conforming animal to the
That's what I
township.
say.
I'm with you. You can put a bird feeder out and geese can come. I mean, I'm with you. I don't know the answer, but that's the issue.
Can I just
Ma'am,
read?
you had a quick comment?
Yeah, I want to just read what, and I'm not knocking Adopt a Pet, they've offered great things, but here's what they say. These cats must not belong to anyone, meaning they weren't somebody's pet or whatever, and must have adequate shelter and food outside. The person filling out the application must agree to continue feeding and providing shelter after the animals have been altered. This program will greatly reduce the amount of homeless cats euthanized each year. So I'm only doing what I was told that I'm supposed to do.
Don't know the answer still.
Tell you what I can try to do tomorrow. I'll talk to our ordinance person, see how the issue came up, if there's been lots of complaints?
Oh, I can answer that.
Oh.
I can
okay.
answer that. Like I said, I've done this for a long time. I only know of one, but he said there's 2 within the last 15 years.
2 complaints in
2.
15 years.
2. And I can't, he was very kind to me, and I said, can you tell me, because I can't confirm or deny the accusation of a feral going into somebody's bushes, or I can't keep track of that. That's what he said. I mean, so I can't confirm or deny.
Well, 15 years, the statute of limitations is run, so there's gotta be something current, but I don't want, Mark, I don't want you to think I'm opposed to this. I think she's doing a good thing myself, but she's asking a very specific question. And the issue is she the owner of the cats? And I don't know the answer.
And can I also make another statement? That I'm not the only one in Fenton Township. There's lots that do this.
I understand that. I know
And
it's all over.
You know, there's lots of us that do this, and it really, I asked Pat, I said, why don't we educate people on this? Because I don't think they might look and say, oh my God, there's 8 cats, and they're all gonna start to multiply. You know what I'm saying? That maybe they just
The
don't.
life expectancy of an outdoor cat is about 1.5 years anyway. It's just what it is. It is. I mean, especially on a high-traffic road versus a dead-end cul-de-sac, but where you're at Eden Gardens, you're far
I'm on a
from-
dead-end cul-de-sac, though.
Well, yeah, but there's also North Long Lake.
Oh, yeah, there's
opportunity in Fenton Road, there's opportunities for the cats to get hit.
See,
Or
they
snakes
do get hit, but see, when you drive down my street, it's like everybody's house is like this, and then there's me.
Mhm.
So, I mean, would it help if I blocked put shrubs and, different things up? Would it, I don't know. I'm just trying to make everybody happy, and I don't know how to do that.
Let me just suggest to the board, this is really not a board decision. And even though you're having this dialogue,
Okay.
it's really fact-specific when it gets to court. And so the lady asked if she put up trees or shrubs or something. It's really not a thing for the board. I mean, you can discuss it, but it's not a board decision. In regards to what you say, it's fact-specific when it's presented to court. So the board can't really give you an answer. So I know you're looking for an answer, but I think you've got in some direction. If it's not your cat, you can't get a ticket for it. I mean.
Then can I ask then, how does the board make an ordinance that somebody can only own 5 cats? Patrick told me you can only have 5 and they have to be in your house, and they can only be domesticated. And I just don't know how do you regulate that? Do you if I tell you Jane Doe has 6 cats in her house, do you?
Well,
It's not about what's in their house. In your house is considered a pet, and you're fine. What the ordinance was written for is the fact is you got all these animals outside. Inside was not the issue. Inside, if they're your pet and you want to have 5 dogs, and even though the ordinance says you can only have 3, that's 3 outside. Inside is what we wrote the ordinance for, is what was inside. So then they're your pet, and that's fine. We wanted to protect them from people having animals left outside, not taken care of, and being a nuisance. And that's what the ordinance is for, not because of what you had inside. So that's where it's kind of confusing. You're in the gray area because guess what? Whether they are yours or not, I'm with John, I don't know. We're trying to do something right. The cat we have living in our house, guess what? Dropped off pregnant in our house. That's how we got it. We got another one a couple years later, and we're still living next to John. Guess what? Same thing.
Yeah.
Dropped off right around there pregnant.
And see, it's illegal for me to trap an animal and then dump it off on your property.
Well, I
Can't
wish
do
these
that.
would have been fixed from there, but, and I understand, trust me, my stepmother loves these cats. I mean, she really does, and I would consider them, even though they're feral, her pets, in my opinion, because she built little houses back there, so to make sure they're warm, and even though she gets them fixed, guess what? They're still growing in numbers. And that's where I would, me as a person, from seeing that from the last 6 years at her house, the fixing thing.
Well, you know
ain't
what?
stop- The territorial thing ain't stopping more cats from coming
I
in,
disagree
so.
with you, and I'm gonna tell you, you know, respectfully, I disagree with
That's
you.
okay. That's what's
Because
great about
I've been
our board.
around here and I'm finally seeing the changes. I'm finally seeing ones that, not even at my house, that show up at a business where I work. These cats are now trapped and ear-tipped and fixed. I'm seeing the changes. It's taken a long time.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give you her address, and you and her can have a talk at her number, because guess what, she would love it. But I'm telling you, at my dad's house, in that neighborhood, even though they're fixing all of them, there's, and you say they're territorial, there's more coming.
Well,
They're
I
just-
don't know, if you didn't have it fixed, she could have double the amount.
She could, but there's, an ecosystem is only gonna support so much of anything. Let's be very honest, we've proven that throughout history. And I'm not saying that she's doing anything wrong, I'm not saying Colette's doing anything wrong. What I'm saying is, I don't know if this is the total solution. For her, what we're dealing with tonight to get everybody out of here is, she's in the gray area. I think we need to talk to Pat. Number one, find out when the complaint was filed, if it was anything current. And we need to, probably the board, when I'm gone, needs to look at something to go, hey, how do we handle this? And maybe the state has something in place that, guess what?
We're gonna turn it over to the county.
That we're coming, we'll come help her. We're gonna try. We'll try.
What'd you say?
We're gonna turn it over to our
I
commissioner
said,
at the
we'll
county.
try.
Oh,
He's our new county commissioner in the area.
what does that mean regarding feral cats?
Animal control is part of Genesee County.
Oh, animal control is on board with this trap, neuter, and return program. The whole
I would
county.
shake your head with that. They got all kinds of nightmares down there, so I wouldn't even say any portion of that.
You know, there's no, the reason they do trap, neuter, well, I'm probably singing to the choir, but the reason they do it is there's no room anywhere for these animals. There just isn't. The best way is to stop them from reproducing, let them live out their life the best they can, and, you know, I mean, I can't help
I
it.
commend you, because they're nasty when you catch them and everything else, so I.
Oh, it's scary as heck sometimes, yeah.
You do what you feel is right, and it is. As far as fixing them, I'm not gonna argue. My debate would be whether they're territorial and more won't come in. That's the only place I differ with you, because I think you're doing a wonderful thing, and I think it should, you know, I don't think we should be, unless it's a real nuisance on people, which evidently they feel it is that they're calling. We wouldn't harass them.
Well, it probably doesn't look all that pretty for about 5 minutes, but, you know, I'm willing to do whatever I can do. I mean, meetings, maybe people just don't understand a lot. I mean, maybe they don't know about trap, neuter, and return. I don't know. I mean,
It was news to me. I wasn't aware of it.
you
So-
really? Do you want this it's such good information.
No, you've educated me. I understand it. It's not a difficult concept, but I wasn't aware that it was going on, so
Wild chicken.
I'm educated now.
I don't know what we can do to help you. Like I said, the best route I can take is tomorrow, talk to Mr. Shaw, see what instituted or instigated the action, and go from there.
And like I said, he wouldn't tell me who made the complaint, so I can't either, like, I'm an honest person. I can tell you if it was true or not. You know, I don't know. I mean, I could call Pat probably every other day, like I told him, with some kind of complaint, but you gotta have some kind of tolerance too, you know.
Sadly, not all humans know that, sadly.
You do have to have some kind of
I agree with you 100%.
tolerance, and, you know, barking
But
dogs,
some people don't get that.
or the guy that blows off these commercial grade fireworks that one day somebody's house is gonna go up. Seriously, I mean, I hate it, but I'm not gonna call you guys up, and, you know, it's a cost of living, I think. You know, nobody got hurt, you know, nobody got damaged. That's just how, you know, like I told you about my dog. I mean, you know, she was in her own yard, and I still couldn't keep her safe.
Okay. Well, let me investigate it as best I can. Doesn't sound like there's a lot of hope, but that best I can do is offer to look into it for you.
But, okay, thank you for that, but I just can't see how they're gonna if we're not allowed to be caregivers or whatever to these cats we have fixed, then they're gonna have to shut all the programs down. How can you tell one person that they can't do it, but then,
In Fenton Township, most of our ordinances are complaint activated.
right,
We don't have somebody who goes out and drives around looking for them. So for
right,
this to happen, there has to be a current individual or individuals that has complained about it. I have no idea
Okay.
if that is, but I'll try to find out tomorrow and let you know,
okay. All right,
okay?
thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Well, I thank you, I like you, thank you so much for somebody understanding. Thank you.
I'm gonna say it out loud.
Okay, any other comments? If not, I will say we are adjourned and also wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Happy New Year too.
And well, you never know.
Another year.